All right. What's good? What's good? Let me make sure we locked in here, man. What's up, everyone? How's everyone doing today? So we are back talking about the Trinity today. Haven't done a Trinity live and Christianity Logical live in a while, so figured we ought to do it, man. See what we can get going. So let's get it going here, man. Let me get everything set up. All right. Good evening. All right, if y'all in here, make sure you guys are double tapping that screen, get them likes up. I don't even know where they move this I don't even know where they move this layout to here, but what's up, y'all? Make sure y'all double tapping that screen, get them likes up. Yo, I don't even see where they put this guest request button at. Oh, here, I guess they changed it. Alright, bet. Alright, everyone, what's going on? Guest requests are open if you guys disagree. Look, I feel like I might want to make this a little bit smaller though here for when guests come up. What makes hypostasis in person subject and individual subject? I don't even know what that means, bro. I don't even know what that's supposed to mean. You just listed like 4 different things. I don't know what you mean. What makes hypostasis in person distinct? That's the same thing. So the reason Orthodox Catechism, W. Religion's illogical in general? Why is that? Look tired? I am. Guest requests are open if y'all disagree. Make sure you guys are double tapping that screen. Like the live if you're on YouTube. What makes this concepts distinct from one another? The hypostasis and person are the same thing. Not distinct. Hypostasis is literally just the Greek word for person. Religion was created people who are terrified of the thought there's no life after. I wouldn't say so. That don't really make any sense because these folks was literally being unalive for the religion. So, like, that don't really make any sense. If they were scared of the afterlife, why would they create something they knew was going to get them there quicker? That don't even make any sense. Let me see here. I don't know why my screen is like being weird, not showing me the viewers. Think about allegedly in. I don't know. Same as every other atheist. They aren't scared to unalive because they think there's an afterlife. Okay, if they think there's an afterlife, why do they think there's an afterlife? What's the reason? What's the reason why they would think that? Because you said they created it because they were scared of afterlife. So then that means they would know it's a lie. So I wouldn't even make any sense, bro. I'll be honest. At all. What's up, newbie? If you think it's logical, then you don't need proof. What? I don't even make any sense. I'm confused. Maybe I'm not reading your comment right. How come? Because inherently, for something to be logical, you need to have some sort of reasoning that's logical. So you can't just say something is logical and like have no justification. What kind of between person and nature? What the frick? That boy speaking gibberish. Boy speaking gibberish. Nope, they ain't logical. Please, show me how. Show me how. Guest requests are open, guys. As we're getting started here. Make sure you guys are liking the live. I'll go ahead and accept the first guest. Hello?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, what's going on?
Good, not much. How are you?
I'm good. What you got?
Yeah, so the Trinity, you mind explaining that to me?
Yeah, it's going to be three distinct persons that have one essence.
So persons and a being you're saying is different.
Yes.
Where is that found in the Bible?
What that person and being is different, that's definitionally true.
Definitionally,
Yes.
is it in the Bible, I'm saying.
Well, the Bible isn't a dictionary. It doesn't have definitions of things. So, no.
But where does the Bible say there's three in one, I'm saying?
Where it mentions three distinct persons, the Father, Son, Holy Spirit. For example, in Hebrews, when it says that the Son is the image of the personhood of the Father, therefore he is not the personhood of the Father. Yet it says that the fullness of the Godhead, for example, dwells in him bodily. So we see that they're one in one way, yet distinct in other ways.
But there's nowhere that says like the Holy Spirit, the Father, and the Holy Ghost are one.
What does that have to do? It's a verbatim fallacy. We can see that they have the same nature because the Son is the exact representation of the Father's personhood, correct?
The Son is the exact representation
Of
of the
the Father's
Father's.
personhood, correct?
I don't know what that would mean though. Personhood.
Okay, but is he the exact representation of the Father's personhood?
I can't agree to that.
Okay, well that's what the Bible says. So then you
Where?
just disagree with it. But Hebrews chapter 1 verse 3. It's verbatim what I just said. So you disagree with the Bible.
Which Bible do you take though?
You can
King
read
James?
you can read any of them. It's all gonna say the same thing in that verse. So you're just gonna have to disagree with your own Bible.
No, no, I'm not Christian.
So why did you ask for where it says it in the Bible?
Because I haven't found anything except for a verse in King James that says the Father, the Holy Spirit are in agreement, something like that. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
But then
Okay. Well.
you
Regardless,
Chris
we see in Hebrews that he is the exact representation of the image of the person of the Father. Why does he say that?
I'm trying to pull that up.
Okay.
Hebrews what?
Hebrews chapter 1 verse 3.
It starts off who being the brightness of his glory.
Yeah.
Okay, so your interpretation of this is just him saying they're one.
He's saying that he is distinct from the Father. He's the representation of his personhood. Yet we also know they're one because the fullness of the Godhead dwells in Jesus bodily.
So he's fully God,
Correct.
but also fully human.
Yeah, he has two natures. It's a hypostatic union.
He's a hypostatic human.
He has a hypostatic union.
What does that mean?
It means he has two natures unified in one person.
Interesting.
So do you have any other contentions or anything?
Nah, that's about it. I mean, if you claim to have your proofs, that's okay. But yeah, one more thing. What's up with the red flag Islam?
I believe it
How is
leads
Islam a
leads
red flag?
people away from Christianity, therefore away from the true religion. Therefore, it's a red flag
Why is Christianity the true religion?
because it's the only one that actually follows the prophets, the continuation of the prophets.
How does it follow them?
Because it actually continuates where the prophets say that the Messiah will come and be unalive for our sins. Islam rejects that. They reject the prophets to say that.
No, in Islam, we believe in the other prophets as well, though. We claim that. We claim to follow them,
Oh,
including
so
Jesus,
great.
peace be
So
upon
then,
him.
do you follow Zechariah when Zechariah says that God said that he would be pierced for our iniquities?
Where did Zechariah say that?
Zechariah chapter 12, verse 10
In
says
the Torah?
in the Tanakh.
Right, but you need to understand what in Islam, we believe those books have been corrupted.
Okay, give me evidence
They have
Zechariah has
some
been
truth
corrupted.
in them.
Give me evidence Zechariah has been corrupted.
What is Zechariah? Is that a part of the Bible?
Yes, Zechariah is a prophet in your religion as well. So can you give me evidence that
I
Zechariah
know,
has
I
been
know.
corrupted?
I can give you proof that the Bible has been
Give me
corrupted.
evidence. We're talking about Zechariah. Give me evidence Zechariah has been corrupted.
If it's part of the Bible, then of course it has been.
That's
Because you guys have a verse like King James Bible
matter of fact. Here, you
that
don't even need it. You don't need to prove to me any book in the Old Testament. I'll give you the entire Old Testament since Zechariah is in the Old Testament. Give me any verse in the Old Testament that is corrupted.
so basically is there any contradictions or
Corrupt. I just want your evidence. The Old Testament's corrupted. That's it.
what do you define as corruption though?
I'm granting you whatever you define as corruption. So, an actual intentional change to change the meaning of something after the fact. That would be one definition.
Changing something, okay, or having contradiction, two things that
It's
cannot
like an
be.
intentional change, right? That would be one form of corruption.
Okay, but I mean, I gave you one, which is the King James. I'm trying to pop up the verse.
Bro, okay. Anything in any evidence in the Old Testament, because Zechariah's in the Old Testament, so any evidence in the Old Testament is corrupted. I'm waiting on that.
I'm pretty sure it is, but at this moment, I do not have.
Okay, so you don't have any evidence to back up your
Uh,
claim right now.
no, I have one which you have not answered yet.
It,
What do you
it
say about the King James version
What
that
about
you
the
guys
King James
claim
version,
has
bro?
been? There's a verse in there that is not found in any original manuscripts that you guys claim was added.
What do you mean any original man? We don't even have the original manuscript. So what do you mean it's not found in the original manuscripts?
You guys claim, look, let me just,
What verse?
it is the verse that talks about how the Father, the Holy Spirit, and the Son are in agreement.
What verse?
Yeah, let me,
Yeah, it's just folks with no evidence, bro. But oh wait,
Okay, I found it. It's 1 John 5:7.
Yeah, 1 John 5:7 was quoted by Cyprian of Carthage in the 3rd century. So if it didn't exist, how is Cyprian of Carthage quoting it in the 3rd century?
What? What are you talking about? The NIV.
Cyprian of Carthage quotes 1 John 5:7 in the 3rd century. How was he quoting it if it didn't exist?
In what book does he quote it?
I can give you the actual citation if you like.
Okay, but do you know what the NIV says about First John five
I
seven?
don't care.
Because it's something totally
I'm actually
different.
giving you evidence.
Okay, but what do you take? The NIV or only the King James?
I don't take only one translation. We can look at multiple translations in the Greek manuscripts as well as the Greek quotes from the fathers to see what it means. So, Cyprian of Carthage in the 3rd century, he quotes it, and I believe it was around
And this
230.
is before the King James, you're saying? Because King James is like 1600s.
Yes, this was like in the 3rd century, like I said. This is in the Ante-Nicene Fathers, the Treatise of Cyprian, on the Unity of the Church, section 6. And he quotes it, and he says, "He who gathereth elsewhere than the church scatters the church. The Lord says, I and the Father are one. And again, it is written of the Father, Son, the Holy Spirit, and these three are one." So why does he quote 1 John 5:7 if it didn't exist?
Okay, just give me that verse one more time. What verse is that from you just read?
This is from On the Unity of the Church, section 6.
On the unity of the church. This is
So,
in the Bible?
no. This is Cyprian of Carthage quoting. I just said it was 3rd century.
Third century.
Yeah.
So before King James,
Do you know when the third
there
century is?
was no, I know. I'm trying to.
Like, what years do
I'll
you think
look
the third
into it. This
century
is
is?
I never heard of this. Is this a what is it called? Is this one of your church
It is
fathers
the patristic father.
quoting? Okay. All right, I'll look into that.
I appreciate you hopping up. I would suggest you guys do basic research before, you know, coming up trying to say it's a contradiction. The guy over yonder, appreciate $2 super chat. Appreciate that, my man. All right, next. The Ross Dog, Ortho Bros Unite, W super chat, man. Hello.
Hello.
Hey, what's going on?
I just wanted to say that I think you're great.
Appreciate it. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Okay. I love that you're on here online fighting for Jesus and doing the right thing. So well done, brother.
Amen. I
I'm off
appreciate.
now.
What's that?
I'm off now.
All right, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
All right, bye. All right, let's see. I don't know if this person's gonna connect. Hello.
Hello, Nick.
Yeah, what's going on?
I have a question about the Trinity.
Okay, what's going on?
So could like 1 billion persons be one being? Like
What?
for example, 3 persons in one essence. Like why couldn't it be uh more than 3 persons? That's what
I
I'm
don't think
asking.
it's logically possible that more than three persons couldn't exist. I just think it would be unnecessary.
What and why is that?
Because there would be no reason for more than three. We have a reason why it's three.
And that's because there's begetting and proceeding, right?
Yeah, and that's gonna become the actualization of love within the Trinity.
And like why uh couldn't God be one person?
Because if God was only one person, but God was the arbitrator of love, yet he has no way to actualize that essential attribute of himself, then he's dependent on creation to actualize an essential property, which would be an issue.
Oh, all right. Yeah, I understand now.
All right, appreciate you.
Thanks for the question.
Yep, no problem, no problem. No problem. Guest requests are open if you guys disagree. Loud ass beep outside my window. Bots? I don't know, man. Can't be more of a bot that just said the Bible was corrupted but ain't had no evidence. That's some real bot stuff. Folks just hear stuff. They hear, oh, the Bible's corrupted. 1 John 5:7. Never do any research though. Never. Add up who? Nobody's in a request right now. Yeah, nobody's in a request. What part of the East Coast you from? I'm definitely a part of the East Coast, that's for sure. Somewhere in there. Definitely somewhere. Appreciate that. What's up, Sophia? Explain faith and works. I mean, what about it? It's a whole topic. It's a whole topic. It's a whole teaching. You think 1 John 5:7 is a forgery? No, because we see early people quoting it, early patristics. Why aren't you Catholic? I am. I'm true Catholic, which means I'm Orthodox. Can you explain why Calvinists are wrong? God doesn't just want to send people to hell on a galactic lottery. He wants all people to reach salvation by their own desire. Heterodox? Nah, Orthodox. The one holy Catholic and Apostolic Orthodox Church. The realist. What do you think about church fathers? Well, they're goated. What else can you say? They're goated. Forgot to mention Roman. Hey, Roman is a jurisdiction, that's for sure. They're definitely a jurisdiction. That's too bad. They're only one jurisdiction out of many, though. It's too bad. Goated, but they had an advantage. They had a super advantage. Why can God not act against logic? Because God's logic is literally grounded within him. So to go against logic would be to go against himself. Wouldn't even make any sense. Make no sense. I guess no one got no more arguments against the Trinity. I guess we debunked them all for real. That's what's up, though. W. W Trinity, man. They cannot possibly hang with the Trinity. God sent himself, sacrificed himself to himself to forgive himself. Wrong. Jesus is not the Father. You just heard that online by some atheist somewhere and you just ran with it. That's not true. Sorry. Pretend to be a Muslim? Heck nah. I hate when folks do that. Should I turn? I don't know. It looks everything about it looks straight, so I'm not sure. I really looked into it though, because I'll be studying the more philosophical side. Have you ever come across a smart Muslim? Yeah. He became Christian. So, you know. The why aren't you Christian? I like to switch it up though, you know? Who was God jealous of before creation? Jealousy isn't an essential property of God, so jealousy is just gonna be it's gonna be some sort of anthropomorphic property. What church father is mostly philosophical in his exposition? Saint Maximus and Saint John of Damascus. Those are like the two that come to mind. Saint Basil's pretty good too. But those are like the main. Definitely Maximus for metaphysics for sure. Arenix, I don't even know what you're talking about. Pagans don't realize they're pagans. Prove we're pagan. Prove the pagan. Can Christians join and ask questions? Towards the end of the live, yeah, I don't mind. I'm just wondering, you gotta prove that we, Saint Maximus on the gnomic will. Yeah, gnomic will is crazy. Does each person of the Trinity know they're not each other? God doesn't have propositional knowledge. Knowing I am not the Father, I am not the Son is propositional knowledge. So I debate Orthodox Muslim again, because he'll only debate me on his platform, and he just mutes and kicks people and talks over them because he has no argument. I already offered on a neutral platform. He ignored it, so if always be scared, bro. It's okay though. Do you debate other hosts on TikTok? Sometimes. Here and there. Here and there. Did you go live yesterday? No. You believe God is not God is indeed the Holy Spirit. Holy Spirit is God. But God's not a rigid designator, so stealing Elijah's lifetime. Listen, man, don't hate the play, hate the game. I purposely wanted to steal all of Elijah's viewers. Purposely. I don't know what's going on today. I guess nobody has arguments against Trinity. I used to have the old background that said like 200 if you could disprove it. But I got banana for that one time for like fraud. So I was like, yeah, no, I'm not even gonna risk that anymore. I was like, heck nah. ALC with a $5 super chat on YouTube. Where the muzzies at? They are hopefully too busy reading the Bible. Inshallah. Inshallah, the Muslims are all reading the Bible right now. Pray for your wife, for sure. I'm reading the Quran. You should be reading the Bible. For sure. Jesus is a prophet? We agree he's a prophet. We don't disagree. Hello?
Hello?
Hey, what's going on?
Can I ask you a question?
Mm-hmm.
Do you not get bored of doing these lives every day?
Nope.
Be honest with me, bro. Really?
Nope. I don't get bored of helping people find the truth. Heck no.
But like, I feel like Muslims, they don't really want to know the truth, if you know what I mean.
Some do, some don't. That ain't my responsibility. Whether or not they do or don't, it's my responsibility to share it though.
Can I ask how old you are?
23.
Oh, you're 23.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you're young.
Yeah, I'm decently
Wow.
young.
Well, what do you do for work?
I don't be saying all that on here, man.
Sorry. I mean, like, you're very young and you're very knowledgeable. Do you consider yourself as the best Christian scholar?
No.
I think you are, man, because out of all the people, Sam Shimon, God Logic, I think you're the one on top.
Not even close.
What?
No. But
Because when you talk, like you have a lot of knowledge and you don't really stumble. I've never seen you stumble before on a question. Like
some W glaze.
huh?
Nah, go ahead. What you saying?
Yeah, like I've never really. I've seen your videos and I've never seen you like stumble on a question. Like you say, I don't know. Like you just know every answer.
Yeah,
Like,
man.
wow.
Glory to God. It's not because of me. So
How long did it take you to study, to be this smart?
I don't know. I've been studying for like 5 years.
5 years. But honestly, bro, I've been watching Sam Shimon. Do you know Pastor David Lynn?
Yeah, I believe so.
I've seen him. I've seen God Logic. I've seen his brother. I've seen Christian Prince. You are on top, bro.
Yeah, don't say that. God might strike me down. I'm definitely not on top of the debaters, but I appreciate it, man. I appreciate the kind words.
No, for real. Like, keep going. Like, okay. Last question before I go. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, your debate with what's his name, the unorthodox Christian or Muslim.
Yeah.
What's his name?
The Orthodox Muslim. Yeah.
Libiano.
Mm-hmm.
Like when you debated him, because I don't get how these debates work. Like who won the debate?
You tell me, bro.
like, are you guys gonna debate again, or is that's it?
I don't know. Who knows? Only God knows.
I feel like to change his mind is gonna take a miracle. And bro, I think you can do it.
Real, let's hope so. God willing, only God can change folks' minds. So we'll see, man.
Imagine him stumbling on a question. Do you know? Because you know how much followers he's got.
He already has stumbled on questions.
Really?
Yeah, bro. If you go to the pin video in my bio, you'll see that this man literally said a rock is a person. So.
Imagine if he said, you know what, Nick, you're right. I think I'm going to convert. You know how many Muslims are going to convert because of you?
Real. Let's hope so. God willing, man. But, hey, man, I appreciate you hopping up, though, brother. I'm going to get to these other guests, but, yeah, I appreciate you, man.
No worries, man. I'm going to stay following you, man. I'm a big fan.
I appreciate it. God bless. God bless. All right. W Glaze, man. Extra glaze. Real. Y'all need to all be like him, for real. Take notes. Hello? And then we get guests like that. It's like the level of guests just like drop off so quickly. So quickly. So quickly. So quickly. They just drop off so quickly, man. Someone said it was that Libiano. It's crazy. Something up with y'all. Anonymous said what? Yo, pause. What the frick? Can you explain problems with PSA? Yeah, God don't turn his back on God. That would be crazy. A rare background change. Facts. Although they not really able to do nothing today, so it's feeling like they might be chopped. Thoughts on Oriental Orthodox? Everyone should be Eastern Orthodox. That's my thoughts. Oh, good. That unknown jit commented so I can freaking block them. Good. Perfect. Perfect. There we go. Needed to do that. Alright. Is that not oversimplifying it? Brother, I don't even remember what your question was 5 seconds ago. I was blocking someone. Hello?
Hello?
Yeah, what's going on?
Hi. Has anybody told you that you are the most smartest Christian ever?
Y'all just trying to get God to strike me down or something?
Like, I think you, honestly, bro, out of all of the people, Sam Shimon,
Y'all just trying to get God to strike me down, bro. I am not the smartest. Frick, no. Chill out. Bro. God finna strike me down. Oh, you think you the best? Yeah, watch me humble you. Hey, God, he is not speaking for me. Yo, they not speaking for me, God. I'm the worst among sinners. I'm dumb, stupid. Only knowledge I have comes from you. Frig, no. Insane work, I'm gonna be honest. Alright. Hello?
bro, you are the most smart.
Yo, what is up with this jit, bruh? Turn on his camera too, it's crazy. What the frick? Nah, something up with y'all. Hello?
Hello.
Yeah, what's going on?
Yeah. Okay. So you believe your God is logical?
Bro, I thought that was the same dude again for a sec. Yeah.
No, it ain't. You're not the same dude, man. Okay. You believe it's logical. If I demonstrate that you believe in a contradiction, would you say then your God is not logical?
Correct.
Okay. Does your God change?
No.
He's never changed before.
No.
Okay. So during the what is called Incarnation or something, didn't his nature change?
No, literally, if you read, we literally say that he became man without change or commingling in the creed.
Okay, so again, bro, did his nature change? Yes or
No,
no?
his nature did not change. No.
Okay, so his nature didn't change.
No.
Okay, what changed about him?
Nothing changed about him. It's like if you put on a sweatshirt. It's
If I
like
put on a
it's like
sweatshirt,
nothing about your nature changed. You just added something.
I wouldn't say it's like putting on a sweatshirt.
It's
It's like
like he
me
added the
getting
human nature.
injected with something.
So
It would be
now the human nature is in union with his person. So
yeah.
nothing
So
changed about his divine nature though.
no, but the God you believe in now, he's a man, and before he wasn't a man.
Yeah, but again, that's going to be in reference to the human nature. The human nature is not God, right? And the divine nature did not change and does not mix with the human nature.
It doesn't mix with the human nature.
No.
Okay, so he just added another nature.
Yeah, so the second nature is not going to be mixed or commingled
No
with
problem.
the divine nature. It's
It
just going to
doesn't
be
need
an
to be
addition.
mixed. It doesn't need to be mixed.
Good. So nothing
Okay,
changed about the
so
divine nature. Great.
okay, so before he had only one nature, and now he has two natures.
Correct.
Yeah,
Just
and
like for example, if I have a shirt on and then I have a sweatshirt on, nothing about
yeah,
me
that's still,
changed.
that's a change too, you know.
It's not a change too. Nothing about my nature actually changed. Nothing about nothing.
And
No property of me changed.
yeah, I disagree with you, man. I think that
If you put a sweatshirt on, does any property of you change?
I wouldn't say it's like the same as putting a sweatshirt, because sweatshirt you can just put it on and put it off. It's not the same. I would say
And
a more
Christ can
analogy
put
would
on the
be
flesh and put off the flesh, like literally the same thing.
But he is the flesh now, and he will be for eternity.
He doesn't have to be. If he didn't want to be, you think he'd have to take on flesh?
But isn't he? Isn't he?
Yeah. Just like I can wear this shirt for the rest of my life. Don't like what?
But it wouldn't be analogous then.
How would it not be analogous?
A shirt you wear it for a day or two, and then you take it off. But
Can I wear this shirt for the rest of my life?
yeah, I would disagree.
Can I wear this shirt for the rest of my life?
Yeah, you probably could, but
Okay, so then like God can have the human nature, have flesh for the rest of his life. What's the issue?
yeah, but before he didn't have, and now he has. That's the issue.
And before I didn't have a sweatshirt on, now I do.
Yeah, you changed.
Properties of me changed when I put on a sweatshirt.
No, I didn't say properties of you. I just say you changed.
Bro, if I change, that means a property of myself changed. That's literally what
if
a
I tell
change
you
is.
go change, what would you do? You would go change clothes in it.
What do you define as change?
Change, going from one state to another state.
One state to so you think that you change like every second of every day?
Mm,
Because you're always going from one state to another. So does your nature
you
change
probably
literally
do.
every millisecond?
Yeah, you probably do, because your skin is like you regenerate.
So you don't even have the same nature you had when you joined this live.
No.
So
I don't think so.
you just a self-regenerating person, bro. You just keep reincarnating pretty much.
I do have the same nature.
Okay, so it doesn't change. Okay, great.
Yeah.
So just because we have some sort of addition or something does not necessarily mean change. So
Okay, so you're saying your God never changed.
correct.
All right then. If that's what you believe, man.
All right. Appreciate you coming on. Unfortunate. Hello.
Hello, brother. How are you?
I'm good. What's going on?
I'm not trying to prove you wrong, but for me, this is not the right time to discuss about religion and with ongoing war and everything. There are too many people inside the country, in your community, to follow Islam. Like, don't make people mad. Stay quiet for maybe.
No thanks. We will not stay quiet about Christ. No matter how much they want us to. We ain't never gonna stay silent about Christ. Yeshua Akbar! Hello? Hello?
Hello?
Hey, what's going on?
Hey, what's up? How are you?
I'm good. What you got?
I just want to know about Trinity concept.
What about it?
What is the Trinity concept? Like,
It's three distinct persons that have the same essence.
so like all those three individuals are God?
Yes, those three persons are God.
So three gods.
Three persons, they're the same God. They're not different gods, they're the same God.
They are one God?
Yes, they're the same God.
Okay, so is that what makes them one God, because they are sharing the same divine essence?
Yeah, because they have an absolutely identical nature. And they have no distinction temporally, spatially, or materially.
They should be... Okay, I got you. So they should be equal.
Equal in their essence, yeah.
Yeah, they should be equal. They should have the same knowledge.
Yeah.
So it's mean if they have the same knowledge, they know everything, right?
Yep. Watch him
They
not
must know
listen,
about
y'all.
the hour.
Just watch, y'all. Just watch. Yes, they all do know about the hour.
Okay, so they are equal, and so they are considered as one God or three God.
One God.
So because I want to clarify, because if what makes them one God if they are all three persons are God?
Because what makes you the same God is having the same divine nature.
Is that the authority makes them one God because they are sharing the same authority?
They also have the same authority, yes.
Yeah. So let's say if a manager is an authority, if three people have the same authority, there will be three managers or one manager.
Bro, I didn't say it's only because they have the same authority. I said because they have the same authority and because they have the same and absolutely identical nature.
Okay, so they are same from the day one.
Correct.
But I guess Jesus is not because he adopted the human body.
Okay, how does that make him different in his divine nature?
Because he's in the human body, but the Father is not.
What does that have to do with it? That just means they're different persons. What does it have to do with their divine nature?
Because then human has a physical appearance, but the Father has not.
Okay, because they're different persons.
They are different. You just said they are same.
Bro,
They are
I
equal.
said there are three persons that are the same God because they have the same essence. They're not the same person.
You just said they are three different persons, right?
Yes, there are three distinct persons that have the same essence. Therefore, they are the same God.
So they are same or they are different?
They're the same essence, different persons.
No, yeah. So they are different persons. One is in physical shape, in shape of human body, which is Jesus, right?
Correct. One incarnated, the Son incarnated.
Okay. So when you says he died on the cross, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he paid for your sin. That's what you believe in, right?
Yes.
Okay. So Jesus is the soul in the body, like he's the soul in the body, and he adopted the human body, right?
Jesus is the person of Christ who incarnated on earth.
Okay. Do you admit he's the soul in the body?
I don't think he's merely the soul. He's not just the soul.
He's what?
He is the person, entirely the person.
No, he is the person. I got your
So
point.
he's not
but
just
in
a
shape
soul.
of
Is not
what?
just a person. A soul is a property of a person.
So he has two natures, God nature and human nature. That's what you
Correct.
believe in, yeah?
Yes.
Yeah. So God nature is because he said, as your belief, you says I and Father are one. That's what make him God.
No, he's God because he literally said, "I am the first and the last, and the Alpha and the Omega."
Okay, so you mean Jesus' body contains two nature. One is God nature and one is human nature. Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, so soul. He has a soul that is a God soul. Then he has a soul of a human
He
nature.
has
So
a
he have
he has a
two
no he has
different
no he has
properties.
two natures, not two souls.
Okay, so he have one soul with two different natures.
He is one person with two different natures. Souls don't have nature. Souls are properties of natures.
Okay, soul is the properties of nature. But
Yes.
my concern is the soul he is having in the body. Is that a human soul or a God soul? Like, what is this?
The soul is a property of human, so
So, like me and you have a soul in our body, right?
yes, soul is a property of humans.
So it's that we have a soul. We don't have a human soul in our body. What do you mean?
I just said it's a property of humans, so what do you think?
So it's a property of human, right?
Yes, that's what I just said 3 times.
So Jesus have the same soul in the body or different soul in the body?
Same as
Or two
what?
different soul? Jesus have the same soul in the body like us, or he have a different soul in the body?
Yes, he has the same type of
So
soul in his body that we have.
he has then he have a human soul in the body, yeah?
Yes, for the 5th time, yes.
Okay, thank you. Okay, now if you make a claim that Jesus died on cross for you, did body died on the cross or the soul died on the cross?
Neither, the person died.
Who was the person, the God or the human?
It's
Who
both.
died on the
Because
cross?
he has two natures, as we just said.
Okay, if you say both died on the cross, do you think God can die?
Only if it's referring to physical death of separation of spirit and flesh.
Bro, if God don't have a physical shape, how he can physically die, man?
Who says he doesn't have physical shape?
Bible says God is unseen. You can see God? Can
If
you
he
see
takes on,
God?
if he takes on flesh, yeah.
When
People in
we
the old
make a
people in the
claim
Old
that
Testament saw
can you
God.
see God,
Yes,
you say
people in the
because
Old
we cannot
Testament
see
saw
the
God.
soul. Huh?
People in the Old Testament said they saw God face to face.
So it means your God is physically can be seen.
Yes, if he incarnates, yes.
So why Bible says God is unseen? Nobody can see
It's
God.
talking about the Father.
So it means Father is different than the physical appearance God.
Yes, the
Like
Father's a
one we
different
can see
person than the Son.
physically.
Yes.
They are different or same?
Bro, I can't explain this for the 20th time. Bro, how many times do I have to possibly explain that the Father and the Son are different? Like, how many times do I have to possibly explain this? Bro, like, good Lord have mercy, bro. I only request up if y'all disagree. Oh my gosh, man. Hello?
Hello?
What's going on?
No, nothing much. How are you?
I'm good. What you got?
Well, I just wanted to say you got so baked by that kid.
Who?
The one that was on earlier.
Oh, what
Bro,
argument? What argument did he give that begged me?
he smashed you, bro.
With what argument?
Bro, you could see your face when you were answering.
Okay, he doesn't know the argument. He probably wasn't even listening. Bro was sitting there twiddling his thumbs.
Hello?
Hey, what's going on?
And Watchman, how about you?
Nothing much. What you got, man?
Well, I've listened to a ton of what's been going on, but it seems like you're saying that Godhood is something about a divine essence. All properties of the essence are the same. The essence can't be divided up or anything like that. It sounds like what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
Yet it can be contained within different persons. So what exactly does a person mean?
A person's going to be an underlying reality of a rational nature.
The underlying reality of a rational nature?
Yes.
What does that mean?
In simple terms, it's who you are.
Well, that seems to possibly contaminate the definition of a divine essence. So, depending what you mean by the characteristics of something, I would assume you say that God's characteristics are some of its divine essences.
I ain't even mentioned
So
characteristics.
then what do you mean by a divine essence?
Divine essence is going to be the essential properties that make God what he is, or makes you what you are.
Oh, so, and how is that different from who you are?
Yeah, because who you are, in terms of us, for example, can contain things like accidental properties.
What's the distinction there?
Between what?
Between who you are, those accidental properties. I'm assuming you're talking about that persons have some accidental properties that aren't essential, meaning that Jesus could have been other or could have been different.
No, I don't
and
think
that God,
Christ can have
the Father could have been other or different.
No, I don't think Christ can have accidental properties. I'm just saying in terms of individual persons. If we're talking about Christ, the distinction between his personhood and his nature is going to be, for example, his relation to others would be properties of personhood, while essential properties of himself would be of the essence.
So the essential properties of the essence of God, the non-essential, the person properties, who they are.
I don't think there's anything in God that's non-essential. So even the personal properties are essential.
Okay, are those personal properties divine or no?
I mean, it depends what you mean by personal properties being divine. They are, a divine person has the properties.
Well, sure, but that's what I'm asking is when you say that Jesus is a person, God's a person, God the Father's a person, the Holy Spirit's a person, I'm wondering what properties they have that aren't part of the divine essence.
Oh, yeah, for example, spiration and begetting. So filiation. That's going to be something.
I don't know what that means.
So how the Spirit spirates from the Father and the Son is begotten of the Father. That's not a property of the essence, it's a property of the person.
Hold on, that seems to be a relational property that's obtained.
It is.
When distinguishing the two.
It is. That's why I said personal properties are going to be in relation to others.
Do these persons have properties outside of relation?
Yeah, that would be the properties of the essence.
So the God essence. So essentially what you're saying is that persons is simply the essence of God divided up in different relations.
No, it's not the essence. The persons aren't the essence divided up into relations, no.
Then what other characteristics are you talking about?
It's the personhood is simply going to be his relation. It's going to be his relation to other hypostases. So the other hypostases of God. It's not the divine essence. I don't know where you're getting essence from. Essence divided up.
Okay. If the characteristics, individuated characteristics of each of the persons of God simply are the relation they have to another person in the Godhood, then all that distinguishes them are you saying I'm taking buckets of God's essence, and that I'm just creating different relations with them.
No, where are you getting essence equals different relations? The essence is going to be the essential properties that make them what they are. It has nothing to do with the actual relation between one another.
That's what I'm saying. Okay.
So the essence has nothing to do with the
God's
relation
essence
between one another.
No, I understand the essence of anything with the relation, but the only way in which you're distinguishing the persons is in relational characteristics, not individuated characteristics.
That's still going to be individuated.
You're simply saying that you're saying that God's essence spirates from God's essence.
No, we did
God's
not say
essence
that.
is
We did not.
begotten from God's essence.
No, we did not say the essence spirates from the essence. We said the person spirates from another person.
And then how are you distinguishing, and that's circular because I asked you to distinguish the persons from each other, and you pointed to spiration, which makes it circular. So what are the other characteristics?
Meaning that the person, for example, the Son, is begotten of the Father. That is his relation to the Father.
Yeah, all you're doing to distinguish the persons is by relations. What you're saying is this essence is relating to an essence in a different way.
No, we're not saying the essence relates to the essence in a different way. We literally never said the essence relates to the essence in a different way. We never said that.
Then what are they relating to?
They're relating to each other's personhood. So, for example,
what,
the
though?
Father has the person.
What's the personhood?
The Father has the property of being ase in his personhood. The Son does not have that property.
What's that mean?
Being ungenerate.
Ungenerate?
Yes.
What does that mean?
Meaning he does not come from another.
But Jesus comes from another.
Which is why it's a property of the Father and not the Son.
So what exactly is ungenerate?
The person of the Father.
No, but what do you describe when you say the person of the Father?
I'm describing the specific underlying reality of this rational nature that we call the Father.
You're describing
We're describing the one who begets the Son and who spirates the Spirit.
No, I understand that, but all of these different properties you're talking about are obtained relationships, meaning there isn't an obtained relationship between another part of the Godhood. For the Father, he is whatever term you used. The Son spirates, but all you're talking about are relational properties. There's no individuating properties.
How is that not individuating? Wait, how is that not individuating? How is it not individuating saying that the Father begets the Son? The Son does not beget another. How does that not individuate them?
Sure. In order to be able to describe a relationship between two things, you need to demonstrate the two-ness or the three-ness. You haven't done that.
The two-ness is that one is ase, the other is not ase.
You're being circular again. You're going back to the relationships between different things, but you haven't
that
demonstrated
has nothing to do with his
place.
relation. The Father being ase, what does that have to do with his relation?
When you say is ase, you're saying that it doesn't have a relationship, a causal relationship.
So it has nothing to do with relation. It's a lack of relation.
Yeah. Well, that still has something to do with relation. It's a negation of relation. So there's a negation of relation.
How is that
a negation
circular?
of subsequent relation.
So what's the circle?
Because I'm asking you to describe. I'm asking you to first prove that there's three persons. What are you doing when you say there are three persons? And instead of actually finding, hold on real quick, instead of finding a way to categorize them differently by showing the essential distinct properties between them, you're just saying they're different from one each other in terms of how they relate to each other.
So if they're different in the way they relate to one another, that means they're different persons, correct?
But what makes them different?
The fact that one is begotten and one is not begotten. One comes forth from another. The other does not come forth from another.
But how does that create a difference?
Because if someone has the property of coming forth and the other has a property of not coming forth, then that's a difference in property. So that's a difference by definition.
I'll give you an example. I'll give you an example to illustrate this. A tree comes from a tree. Even if you're to say that all of the properties are the same, the coming forth is a relationship between one tree and the other, but it generates a distinction, such as the tree is in a different space, location, or in a different time.
Would the fact that one tree
without showing there's an actual distinction between things.
The fact that the one tree comes from the other show a distinction between the two trees?
Because
I'm asking, would
attached to it. No, not without the attached subsequent property. Yes.
So if a one tree comes from another, it might be the same tree.
you need attached distinctions. If the tree came from the other tree,
What's a
but
distinction?
you did not, hold on real quick. If you did not, a difference in a difference in characteristic.
A
between
difference in
entities.
characteristics is being begotten a characteristic.
It's a relational characteristic.
So it's a
it doesn't mean
characteristic.
anything. I'll give you an example.
Wait,
If
is
you
it
were
a
to say
characteristic?
tree,
Yes or no?
No, it's not a characteristic that creates a meaningful distinction.
So
And I'll give
you,
you an
so you,
example.
so you
Hold on,
being
hold on, I'll give
begotten
you an
of your
example.
mother. Wait, so you being begotten of your mother isn't a distinction between you and your mother?
I'll give you an example. If a
I don't want an
tree came from a
example, bro. I
tree-
want you to answer
No,
the
no,
question.
I'll illustrate
Is
so you can understand it.
is you being begotten of your mother not a distinction between you and your mother?
Merely in and of itself, that does not create a distinction. It
So
needs
you
other stuff
being
attached to
born
it.
out of your mother's womb, that is not enough to say me and my mother
No,
are
because
different.
There has to be other attached characteristics. For example, if I say a tree comes from a tree, but guess what? The tree is spatially identical, temporally identical, metaphysically identical. If everything else is identical, you simply saying the tree comes from another tree doesn't do anything to create a distinction. There has to be an associated difference, such as spatial difference or temporal difference. So for you to say God is identical in every other way, but then you insert this random relation thing, such as God comes from God, it doesn't do anything to fill in
that's
further
crazy.
about these different persons.
See, that's crazy because when you described a distinction, you described it as a difference in property. But now you're saying it must be a difference spatially, temporally. So give me your proper definition of distinction, and please back it up with an actual philosophical dictionary, please. What is your last one more time? What is your definition of a distinction?
I just described a different type of characteristic.
A different type of characteristics. So it has nothing to do with whether it does. So it doesn't need to be spatially, temporally. It's just a different characteristic. Okay.
The point is whether or not.
So
the
it's
point
just
whether
a
or not,
different characteristic. A distinction is a different characteristic. Is being begotten a characteristic?
The point that I'm trying to make
It's
here
a yes
is,
or no. Is being begotten a characteristic?
The point that I'm trying to make here is that
fantastic.
the property
Please
distinction,
answer the question. Is being begotten a characteristic?
it's a property. It's an obtained relationship.
Is it a characteristic? Yes or no?
It's I don't know if I can characterize it as that.
What do you mean? What's a characteristic?
A character is just something that makes up something. Something that gives identity to something.
Gives identity. Okay, is being begotten, does that give you identity?
It might, but not in a powerful way.
Okay. So not in a power, but it's a characteristic, correct?
Okay,
bro, you got it. It's a yes or no, bro. Is it a characteristic or not?
It's really simple. This is why I want
if
you
it's
to
so
answer the
simple, then
question.
please just answer yes or no. Is it a characteristic?
The point that I'm trying to make, and this is
Bro, I don't care about the point you're trying to make. I want you to answer the question.
Are you gonna let me finish?
If you answer the question without running, is the character is being begotten a characteristic?
But it's an incoherent
Yes or
characteristic
no?
alone. It's a character. It's okay. I'll for the sake of argument, because you don't want to move forward.
Is it a characteristic? Yes or no?
Sure. I'll say yes. It's a characteristic. Okay. But it's an incoherent characteristic.
Incoherent?
Sure. It's the same thing as saying a tree came from another tree, but the trees are spatially identical, temporally identical, metaphysically identical, and every other way they're identical. But you want to insert in there this relationship that's been obtained and say, guess what? There's a distinction. I'm going to tell you, I don't know what the hell you're talking about when you say that one came from another, but all other characteristics are identical.
So a tree can come from another tree but be absolutely identical to that tree?
No, it's incoherent to me. It's a characteristic you can insert.
So
but it's meaningless and incoherent.
So would you, if one tree comes from another tree but every other property is the same, are those two trees absolutely identical or distinct?
To me, they're identical. I don't know what you mean when you say that a tree comes from another tree, but then you're going to say from there on they have all the other properties.
Meaning that they are materially identical, meaning that they are outside of time and space.
What about? Hold on. How does that relate to trees?
Because we would be saying they're materially identical.
Saying, yeah, in terms of if a tree comes from another tree and they're identical in every single way except for this one condition.
Then they're materially identical.
Yeah, they're materially identical.
But they're not absolutely identical, correct?
They're identical in every single way that makes sense.
But they're not, though, because one coming forth from another is not the same.
That's the issue, is the idea of coming forth without establishing a different characteristics creates an incoherence.
Bro,
to say
that
something
is
comes
the
forth,
character. So
to
coming
say,
forth isn't a difference.
Hold on, real quick. To say that something comes forth, but you cannot create any other characteristic distinction creates an incoherence.
So
It's
you
like trying to say
saying you
there's
come
two
forth.
separate trees.
So if you say
No, no,
you so if
I
you
don't know
say
why-
you
hold on.
came
I'm
forth
gonna
from
ask you a-
so if you say you came forth from your mother, that's not enough for you to say I'm different than my mother?
If me and my mother are identical in every single way,
God
and then you were to
forbid.
say you came forth, I'd be like, what the hell are you talking about? I came forth from myself.
So then
what does that
from
even mean?
yourself? How the frick you come forth from yourself?
That's the point. In the question, you're begging it by saying my mom. You're saying someone who is
Bro,
a
what do you think the
different
difference
person
between
who is older than me, who is
my
probably female, who has
what
all
is
these other
the what do you think the
characteristics. You're
difference
baking
is
into the
between
question
person and being?
distinctions.
What do you think the difference is between person and being?
It depends on your definition of both.
I'm asking
can
you,
answer
what
my
do you think the
question, though?
difference is between person and being?
So person generally relates to something with a mind. So a person is an entity that has a mind to me. If you want to call it something else, we can work off your definition. A being is a super fucking vague term. It could just
Person
be
is
any entity that you can categorize. It could be a bunch of different stuff.
So does your dog have a mind?
Yes, my dog has a mind.
So your dog's a person?
Under that definition.
So you think your
Some
dog's
people call it a rational person.
You think your dog's a person?
I wouldn't call it that. Generally, when we're talking about person,
You
we're talking about
just
human
you
beings.
just said a person is something with a mind.
I offered a broad definition around how people use persons.
So according to
especially in these
your
metaphysical-
definition that you
Hold
just
on, hold on,
gave.
let me finish. Hold on. You haven't let me finish once.
I did.
Relax.
I let you give your whole definition of person.
No, real quick. There's broader definitions for persons in these metaphysical conversations. When we're talking about persons, we're generally talking about Homo sapiens. So it can be restricted as that.
Oh my! So do
But
you
in
have to change your
metaphysical
definition of person
understandings,
now?
It goes broader.
Do you have to change your
It's gonna
definition of
depend on the
person now?
conversation.
Bro, I
gonna
asked you
depend on the
what your
conversation.
I asked you what your definition of person was. You gave that. According to your definition, is a dog a person?
Under that definition, yeah.
Great. So you think dogs are persons? Fantastic. So your worldview is completely illogical.
If you want to play this gotcha because you think it works.
No,
how about
I'm showing
answer
you
my
that you
question
don't
about
know
the
what you're
tree?
talking about, and you just made up a definition that makes no
sure,
sense.
Sure, man.
That
Sure,
under
man.
your
In these-
worldview,
in
that
these
dogs and
metaphysical-
literally and frogs are persons.
That's fine. In these metaphysical conversations, we use broader definitions of person because I wouldn't consider God, whatever a God would be, a person either in colloquial conversations. Because generally, when we're talking
What?
about persons, we're talking about human beings.
Says who?
Sentient human beings with rational minds. That's how it's used in common
How do you
language.
define
When I
if
say,
something's
there's a
how do you
person-
define if something's
real quick,
rational?
Real quick.
How do you
real
define
quick.
if something's rational?
When you say, real quick, I don't know where you're going with that. When I say there's a person over there, you're not going to think, oh, maybe he's talking about God. What's going to come to mind? You're going to think a human being.
Because
depending on the
typically
colloquial
God's not going to be
context-
over there. So
That's fine.
give me your final
That's
definition
totally
of
fine.
person. Give me your final definition of person.
That's why I said at the very beginning, but you wanted to be anal about it. It depends on the context in which the conversation is being had. So in a broader metaphysical conversation, it's going to be much larger. In a more refined conversations about human beings, we're going to talk about a Homo sapien with a rational complex.
Give me your refined, objective definition to how we know what a person is.
In what conversation?
Are persons different in different conversations? Okay, I'll make it easy.
Yes,
what
they
are the?
are
I'll make it
absolutely
easy.
in
I'll make it
different
easy. I'll make it easy.
conversations.
I'll make it easy. What are the essential properties to say that you are a person?
It's going to depend on the conversation. So, I'll make it easy for you.
I said essential.
Let's
How
go-
can essential be different?
No, because it depends on your definition. If the semantic content of a person is different, the relating essential properties to be a person is going to be different. So in this
So are there
conversation,
multiple
probably
different
what you're
essential
talking
properties to being a person?
about- For depending on the definition, there can be different essential properties if you're talking about something else. For this conversation, we're probably talking about something like a rational mind. We can go for something like
So-
that if you want.
Oh my god. So are there different essential properties for persons?
Depending on your definition, yes.
So then how are they essential?
For this
Wait,
definition?
wait. So how are they essential if there can be another person that has different properties that are not essential?
Because depending on the semantic content, you're talking about different things. And of course, if you talk about different things, those different things are going to have different essential
We
properties.
can be talking about different
So it depends
things.
on the semantic context.
Fantastic. We're talking about different things, but I'm asking about to be classified as a person, not the different things. To be classified as the word person. For me to
Define
call
person.
something a that's what I'm asking you to do. I'm asking you what are the essential things.
I offered a definition.
Okay, give me
It was
the
too broad for you,
essential
so you
things
tried
to
refine
be
it.
called a person in any scenario. What are the essential things?
There isn't for any scenario because there's multiple definitions for person.
Oh, so I could say, for example, my rug in a certain context could be a person.
Yeah, definitions are subjective. Are you for real?
Yeah, I could say.
Definitions-
I could say in some way my rug
just
is
to
a
be clear.
person.
Just to be clear, do you think definitions are objective?
Yes, if we actually want truth value, then yes.
Where is the objective standard of a definition?
Yeah, I think if we actually go by, for example, a person being a underlying reality of a rational nature, because that's what it's always been called objectively. That's what it's always been taught as. Is going to be objective. That's what person hypostasis.
What do you mean it's always been called that?
Yes, hypostasis has always been underlying reality of rational nature. That's literally what it's always been. So you think my rug could be a person?
So wait, so do you think before
if there is no objective truth value to definitions, how do we know what one another is saying is objectively true or false?
It's called a transmitting and an encoding process. We use mouth sounds or squiggles, and we have content in our brains associated with our experiences, and then we think of content in our brains, and then we write down some way that to describe that content or something that is associated with that content, and then someone else, through communication, we say, oh, let's refine what type of squiggles or sounds are associated with the semantic content in our brains.
Yeah, but does objective truth exist?
I maybe. I don't know what that means, to be honest, but possibly.
Objective truth, meaning that there is some sort of truth that is non-changing.
Why are you? Can you stop changing the topic?
We're not changing the topic because we're talking. Bro, we're literally talking about whether or not there are objectively true definitions.
We were talking about definitions.
We're talking about is there objectively true definitions, which is why I asked, does objective truth exist?
Wait, do you understand that there can be objective truth, yet definitions may not be part of that?
Oh my, I'm showing you that if there is objective truth, I'm going to show you the reductio. So is there objective truth?
Wait, just hold on. But why is this irrelevant?
Because I'm going to give you the reductio. Do you know what a reductio is?
I don't have an opinion on objective truth, if that's what you're asking.
You don't have an opinion on something. So 2 + 2 = 4 might not be objectively true.
Yes. And mathematicians agree, by the way.
Mathematicians agree 2 + 2 might not equal 4?
Oh my, you're so...
Yo, please show me.
If you think that mathematicians have this view that mathematics is absolutely not...
I need that citation.
Independent?
No, I need that. Please show me the mathematician that says 2 + 2 might not equal 4. Please show me that. You show me that, I'll admit you right.
That's not... Hold on. Wait, hold on.
Nah, show me that.
What does objective mean?
Show me that.
Objective
meaning unchanging and true regardless of circumstance.
That's not what hold on. I'm so sorry. My bad. So when I use the word objective, I'm using a philosophical definition.
That's the philosophical definition.
Colloquial definition. No, the philosophical definition of objective is mind independent or stance independent.
Meaning that it's unchanging and true regardless of situation.
That's not, no, absolutely not.
So something that's mind independent isn't true regardless of situation?
Hold on. There's something that could be mind independent and true. There could be fundamental essences to mind.
Guys, let's look up the definition of objective. Guys,
yeah, look up the philosophical definition of objective.
Objective definition, philosophy. Okay, let's look it up, guys. All right, and we can go to the Stanford Encyclopedia of Philosophy as well. All right, and we'll also go to IEP. All right. So, objective definition philosophy, that is going to be existing as a truth or fact regardless of personal interpretation. So regardless of what you think, regardless of what you say, it is true. Is 2 + 2 = 4 objectively true?
That's what we're disagreeing on. I don't know whether or not that's true.
Okay, so can you please show me any
consensus.
So please show me any mathematician that says 2 + 2 = 4 might not be true regardless of personal interpretation.
That's not what, just to be clear, when mathematics are saying this is not objective, they're talking about whether or not it's mind dependent or mind independent. So in other words, when we're generating math, are we discovering mathematics, or are we generating mathematics in order to best adhere to what our experience is of the world around us?
So you think
some mathematicians think we're discovering it.
Please, you think then that it is possible that 2 + 2 = 4 might not exist besides just our interpretation?
Because when you say 2
or
plus 2
logic,
equals 4,
for instance. We'll use
you're
logic.
invoking. Yes, because when you say 2 + 2 = 4, you're invoking mental tokens.
We are with logic too. Does that mean logic also is an objective truth?
Because here's the ultimate issue with subjective or objective truth, is that there's no way to access what is true outside of perception. That's why ultimately objective truth is a gamble.
Okay,
that's what I don't have any. That's why I don't have any concrete opinion on objective truth.
So
it could be the case that there is. Real quick, it could be the case that there's objective truth, and this is a massive distraction for me before because you're being challenged and weren't able to answer my challenges. But we can continue on this random philosophical tangent.
It's literally not. So, for example, before humans existed, before minds existed...
Do you want to answer my question? Or
I
no?
quite literally answered already. So, before humans, before minds existed, did logic exist?
I don't know what that means.
Do you know what the 3 laws of logic are?
Yes.
Okay, what are they?
Contradiction, excluded middles, and what is the other one? The third one.
Okay, it's law of identity, law of non-contradiction, and the law of excluded middle.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Did they exist? Those laws, not necessarily the names, but the laws themselves, did they exist prior to minds?
If I were to say no, why is that absurd to you?
Because then you would have to say that the sun and the sky could possibly both exist and not exist at the same time before minds.
And do you understand that in order to generate that concept in your mind, you're using your mind?
Great.
You're saying that my understanding of the physical world being interpreted in my mind is based upon, and by the way, this is why you're missing a whole theist tradition here, in which logic has to be mind independent, because logic is generated by God being a mind. So
God.
Theists will say our way of actually getting around the solipsistic trap is by saying that all of logic and truth and even language, for example, is upheld by God and God's
believe
mind.
It's grounded in God, yes. So can you just answer the question now? Does logic exist before minds exist? Yes or no?
That's because I can't conceptualize that.
What do you mean you can't conceptualize that?
I think
it's just a question. Does it? Yes or no?
Level, I don't think you're equipped for this level of conversation.
You not answering the question doesn't help you.
Things.
You saying I'm not equipped doesn't help you. You're the one not able to answer the question. Does it exist before minds? Yes or no?
I don't know. If that's the end of my question, I don't know.
So it might be possible that the sun and the sky could both exist and not exist simultaneously before minds.
Here's the problem is I gave you an answer of I don't know because I didn't want it to continue further. The reason being is when I
know you don't want to continue further because you know it doesn't make any sense.
Hold on. The reason is the question's incoherent. You're asking me to conceptualize of something without the use of a mind. You're asking me to take something that exists within our minds, that we process with our minds.
Use your mind right now. Use your mind right now. Okay, think about it. Before minds existed, so you're using your mind to think about a time before minds existed. Could the sun and the sky both exist and not exist at the same time?
What does it mean? What does it mean to think about a time before minds existed?
It means to think about the time prior to humans. The same way that you would say, oh, I think about the time where monkeys existed and humans didn't evolve yet. If you hold it.
And when you're thinking about that, what are you doing?
You're thinking about that time. You're conceptualizing the time before minds.
Exactly. You're conceptualizing.
Okay.
You're creating mental distinctions. You're categorizing.
We'll make it simple. We'll make it simple. Could the sun could the sun and the sky both exist and not exist at the same time?
No. No.
Okay. Could the same question? Could the sun do that? So, independent of us, could the sun do that before minds existed?
Okay. When you say before minds existed, I'm just going to assume you're asking, with our current understanding and mental faculties do we have, could we conceptualize of the sun doing that?
No.
The answer is no.
Could the sun do it? Not could we conceptualize? Could it do it? Could the sun do that?
When you ask, could it do it, you're begging our understanding of logic, of physics, of everything like that, the concepts that we have. If you have a way of getting out of the solipsistic trap and say, and by the way, and I'll just ask you the same rundown question if you want, since you think you have the true answers about you being right outside of your mind, we can do that too.
Yes,
so
because truth, I believe, actually is mind independent. Do you believe truth is mind dependent?
Sure. How do you know that's true?
So you believe that truth is subjective?
That doesn't answer my question. Can you stop deflecting? How do you know that's true?
Yes, because the reductio would be circular if you said otherwise. If you said that truth is not objective, that would be circular.
How do you know circular things are incorrect?
Yeah, because the laws of logic themselves ground all of our existence.
How do you know the laws of logic are true?
Because the laws of logic are axiomatic.
And what makes something axiomatic something you should accept or be true?
What do you mean, what makes something axiomatic? Do you know what it means to be axiomatic?
Yes.
So what does it mean to be axiomatic?
Non-inferentially justified.
So then why the frick would you ask me to inferentially justify it?
That's the issue. What makes something justified?
Why would you ask me to inferentially justify something that's not inferentially justifiable? Are you listening to yourself right now?
Why is something that you want to call non-inferentially justified true?
Like, are you literally listening? Why would you ask me to inferentially justify something that's not inferentially justified?
I am. I'm just pushing you into the trap to try and make a claim about.
There's no
objective
trap.
knowledge.
This is bad. You just told me to inferentially justify something that's inferentially unjustifiable.
You're trying to make a claim about objective knowledge.
Yes, because I hold the a priori knowledge. You hold a priori knowledge?
Not necessarily. I think I'm more of a compatibilist between.
So you just hold a priori knowledge, or posterior knowledge?
No, I think both are required. I don't hold to either of them.
Okay, so both are required. So you believe that a priori knowledge exists, right?
I think the distinction between a priori and a posteriori is false. I think that synthetically both have to work together. That the idea of simply being a priori doesn't make sense. Because I don't know what knowledge without experience or experience without knowledge means in the first place.
Yeah, we're saying that it's going to be non-experiential, meaning you don't need to necessarily experience something to know that it's true. Do you need to experience as someone in China to know there's people in China?
No, but you're experiencing the information.
How do you experience information? And how do you know that information is true? How do you know that information is true information?
You don't know it's true. It's a probabilistic guess.
So you're just guessing that there are people in China right now?
Yeah, it's a pretty well-reasoned guess, seeing as that there's nothing to corroborate the opposite or nothing to really provide much doubt.
Are you guessing that the sun's in the sky right now?
It's a pretty damn good guess, too.
You don't know the sun's in the sky? Like, you don't know?
Oh, what do you mean by no?
I mean a justified true belief.
A justified, I'm not sure about what the word true there really means, but a justified belief?
Yeah, does truth exist? What is that? Does truth exist?
Hold on, sorry, I got a call. Repeat.
Does truth exist?
What type of truth?
What do you mean, what type of truth?
Like a justified, if by truth you just mean a justified belief, which is why that definition was a little strange to me, then yeah, I think justified beliefs exist.
No, truth would be something that is going to be mind independent, it's going to be objective regardless of situation, etc.
So is it true you can be happy?
Does that truth exist? Does truth exist?
Is it true you can be happy?
That I can be happy? Yes, that is. I have the potency to
be
happy. Or
that you're happy? Or that someone's happy?
Yeah, if you have the potential, yeah.
How is that mind independent if happiness is a property of the mind?
Yes, because I don't think it's just necessarily a property of the mind. I don't know where you got that from.
So then what do you mean by happy?
Yeah, happy is just going to be a state of being. Certain state of existence.
That's okay. So
now can you answer the question? So now can you answer the question if truth exists?
Is a car happy because a car is a state of being?
No, a car doesn't have a certain state of being that would make them happy.
But what does happiness mean?
Do you think happiness only has to do with the mind, doesn't have to do with neurons and electrons in our body as well?
I think that happiness is causally supported by neurons.
Okay, so it's not just
merely the mind. But I think happiness is a phenomenal state.
So it's not merely the mind. So it's not mind dependent.
No, okay. Just because something is in the mind, and in being in the mind, it is caused by things that are outside of the mind, that doesn't then mean that it is mind independent.
Yes, we're saying that it's not dependent on mind. So this is why I asked this. So this is why we're talking about truth. So this is literally why we're talking about truth.
Sure.
So will you answer now? Does truth exist?
Sure. No, I need you to answer my question.
Bro, I just answered two. You just not answer. I don't know why you just don't answer any questions. Does truth exist?
You don't answer any questions either.
I just answered two of your questions, bro. After I asked you, does truth exist, and you're not answering.
I challenged you on it, and when I challenged you on your definition, you deflected off of it.
Does truth exist, bro?
if you mean by justified belief, I already answered this question, which is yes.
Objectively.
Objectively, I don't know how you justify something objectively.
You don't know how you
What does it mean
justify
to
something
objectively
objectively?
justify something? Yeah, how do you
Yes,
justify something
yes,
outside
yes.
of reasoning and mind-dependent things?
Yes, because if reasoning is reasoning axiomatic?
It might be, but it's part of the mind.
Okay, so if reasoning is axiomatic, then it's true regardless of the mind. That's literally what axiomatic is. So,
it's not
does
regardless of the mind.
objective axiomatic
It's
truth
not,
exist?
Hold on. What do you mean? Without reasoning cannot exist without a mind, correct?
Yeah, so we'll make it clear. Does axiomatic
can
truth
reasoning
exist?
exist without a mind?
Reasoning itself? No, if you're talking about reasoning apart from logic, no. If you're talking about logic apart from reasoning,
No,
yes.
apart from mind.
No, that's why I said logic. Reasoning itself would be mind dependent. Logic itself is mind independent. This is why I asked you, I'll make it clear, does axiomatic truth exist?
Do you mean like non-inferentially justified beliefs that are true?
Yes.
I don't know.
You don't know. So you don't know if the sun and the sky could be both hot and not hot at the same time. You don't know.
This is the epistemic weakness.
You don't know if you could be a married bachelor.
Real quick. We have presuppositions, things that are the base, the groundwork, the foundation of all our subsequent beliefs. There's no way to justify those. We use seemings, we use our experience, and we just say that those are the things we're going to accept in order to move forward in the world. That's how these things work.
Oh gosh, is it possible you could be a married bachelor?
If you're invoking logic, no.
Is that axiomatically true?
If you're invoking logic, no.
No, it's not axiomatically true if you're invoking logic?
It is true.
Okay, so axiomatic truth exists.
When you say it exists, if you mean a part of the mind, I don't know what that means. If you mean within the mind, that's what we hold to.
Outside of the mind, could you be a married bachelor?
What does that even mean outside
Being
of the
a
mind?
married bachelor is not dependent on your mind, bruh. Being a married bachelor has nothing to do with your mind. So could you be a married bachelor? Mind independent, could you be a married bachelor?
Well, if you mean like do you mean the conceptualization of a married bachelor?
Oh my gosh, bro, could you be a married bachelor? So married means to be married. A bachelor means to be not married.
I don't know what that means.
Could you be a married bachelor?
I don't know what it means to not have a mind and to be like something. I don't know what the hell that means.
So a married bachelor, someone who is married means that they are together with this individual. Someone that is a bachelor means they are not together with anyone. Could someone be a married bachelor?
In what condition?
What do you mean in what condition? In any condition. Could someone be a married bachelor? In any condition.
Hold on, it's super simple. If you're evoking logic...
In any condition.
Then no, because it is analytically the case that that's not true.
Can you be a married bachelor in any condition?
That's... Okay. Then no, but I don't know what that means.
Okay, so it's axiomatically true that you could not be a married bachelor.
Is there a condition of non-logic?
What the frick would a condition of non-logic be?
If you accept
what is a condition of non-logic?
That's what I'm saying. I don't know what that means.
You're the one that said it. What do you mean you don't know what it means?
When you say any condition,
what are you talking about? You're the one that said it.
When you say that's the thing. When you say any condition, and we're talking about objective or beyond logic or mind independent, you're asking things which are difficult to incorporate in a conversation in which there are presuppositions of logic and all these other things. That's the problem with begging objectivity. With talking about things like objective knowledge, whatever the fuck that means. When you use those terms, I simply don't know what they mean.
Yes, objective knowledge or objective truth is just going to be something that is true regardless of your position or regardless of the space or whatever and whichever the situation in which it occurs.
In terms of a position, I think that is true.
Okay.
But that's why that definition it doesn't hold as much water in philosophical conversations.
If that's true,
because objective and subjective tend to relate to mind dependent or mind independent.
Yes, that's why we're asking if it is objectively true, which again I'm just going to define as axiomatic, that logic exists or that logic is true.
You might take it as axiomatic, but there's no justification for that in the first place.
So
that's
how
just
do you, so
something
how
that
do
I
you know? So
accept.
how do you know if something's axiomatic?
What do you, I don't think we can know those things. We can't know what's axiomatic. We accept things to be axiomatic, or we don't. That's just a description of what we do.
So how do you know whether or not you should accept something as axiomatic?
If you're asking just my process, we do it in terms of function. We operate in ways which create coherence and create conceptuability in the world. And if we're able to do that, then we assume that the axioms we're basing our existence and what we're doing off of make sense. And then we work our way down and we try and see what are the most fundamental things that we seem to not be able to talk or think or operate without.
Yes.
And those
Yes.
most fundamentally
So,
are
like,
the laws of logic.
Yes, like for example, could truth be false?
It's an incoherent question.
So it couldn't be.
If you mean, I mean, from logic, no, truth can't be false.
Could truth be false before humans existed?
If you're invoking logic and if you're invoking a mind in logic, then no.
I'm saying before minds existed, could truth be false?
There's a problem. If you're just talking, if we're not going to get anywhere with this, when you're invoking these questions, what you're doing is you're asking for us to both disqualify the minds while also including a mind analysis of the situation. You're asking for me to analyze reality with my mind and then try and say, okay, make descriptions about reality outside of a mind while using your mind. It's something that
yes,
isn't
we're
coherent to
asking
do.
you can use your mind to think about before minds existed. So for example, truth propositions. Are propositions considered to be true even
you
before
asking that
humans
question,
existed?
That's fine, but you asking that question doesn't do anything to further the question of whether or not something like logic is outside the mind
It
or
does.
truth
This
is
is why I'm
outside the
asking
mind.
before minds, are true propositions still true?
And if the problem is you're invoking a mind in that question.
Yes. So right now, use your mind. Before minds existed, but use your mind for this.
When you're asking me, holy fuck, when you're asking me to use my mind, you're asking me to conceptualize of things, add in presuppositions using logic to make claims about the world.
Yes.
And when doing so, you're begging the question because you're asking me to introduce mind elements and then saying that as support for saying, hey, guess what? Something like truth and logic and all these things, they exist outside of the mind.
Yes, use your mind to conceptualize whether it's possible.
Holy fuck. Understand.
Can you use your mind to conceptualize things outside the mind?
Understand.
Can you use your mind to conceptualize? No, you can't. So you can't use your mind to conceptualize that rug because the rug's outside your mind. So you can't use your mind to conceptualize that rug.
What do you mean? What do you mean the rug? What do you mean?
No, a rug. Can you use your mind to conceptualize a rug?
What do you mean by a rug?
What the frick do you mean? You don't know what a rug is now? What do you know? Do you know anything?
That's the whole point.
You don't know nothing. I'm moving on, bruh. This is crazy. I'm moving on, bruh. This is crazy. It gets to a point, bruh. It literally gets to a point. It gets to a point where we don't even freaking know what a rug is. What is a rug? Are we dead serious? What is a rug? Of course, this man Dom here. Bro, it really gets to a point, bro. It really gets to a point when I have to ask this man if he can conceptualize what the frick a rug is, and he don't know what a rug is. What's a rug? Boy, go to the home store not near you, bro. Go to Target and ask the jit in Target, what is a rug? They gonna look at you and say, did you just come from a third world country? How the frick don't you know what a rug is? Like, bro, it's like cognitive dissonance, bro. It's crazy. How do you not know what the frick a rug is? You don't know anything. Every time I ask this man a question, I don't know. I don't know anything. Matter of fact, truth might not even exist. Who knows? What's a rug? What's a person? What's a being? What's anything? Bruh, like, this is crazy, bruh. Thank you for the super chat, Gabriel. Bruh, like, I'm telling y'all, this is quite literally what atheism leads y'all to, by the way. This is quite literally what atheism leads y'all to. Y'all will have to go to the absurd lengths to have to deny knowing what the frick a rug in your living room is. Bro. Oh my gosh, this is crazy. This is crazy.
Hey, so you think Christianity and the Trinity are logical?
Yes.
Do you think God is the creator of the universe?
Yes.
Do you think he created all things?
Yeah, all things created, he created, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Do you think time is created?
I mean, time's just going to be a measurement of change. So you could say it's created in some abstract way.
Okay, so you think that there was a time before time where time was created, even though that would be illogical, right?
No, I think time would have been created if you say created simultaneously with everything else.
What definition of created works with time? How can you say there was a time before time existed and then a time after time existed?
Yes, because atemporally, right, he would exist outside of time, meaning before this thing actually existed. Now, again, time is just going to be a measurement of change. So all we're saying when we say time is created, we're not saying that there's some ontological thing which is created. We're simply saying that it is the start of creation. It is the start of when God started creating things. That's all we're saying.
Sure. We should look up the definitions of created and start and see if they work with time.
Created literally means to bring into being.
Yeah.
So we're saying time is going to be the signification of bringing into being.
So there's a point where the thing didn't exist.
So we're not saying this thing is ontologically created. We're saying it simply has the signification of when things are starting to be created. That's it.
So I don't know what definition of creation you're using here then.
To bring into being.
Exactly. So as I understand, to create something means there's a point where something didn't exist and then a point where it did exist.
Yes. So again, time itself is not ontologically created in the way that we are ontologically created. Time, when we say created, is simply going to refer to the notion of when something comes into being. That's it.
Exactly. So how can you say there's a when for time to come into being?
Again, that's not what we're saying. We're not saying it's a when ontologically. We're saying that it simply is a timestamp for when things occur. That's it.
How can you have a timestamp without time existing?
That is when, bro, the timestamp is when something occurs. The first time something occurs is the first timestamp we have. So the first time God creates is the first timestamp we have.
So the first time God created time, there was timestamps already?
No, the first time God created something, we just said time was not created in an ontological sense, bro.
So you think time isn't created in an ontological sense, but you understand, even by your definition of time, right, a measure of things changing, there still has to be a change that occurs there. Nothing changes, then something changes.
Fantastic. Yes. So as soon as something changes, that is when time is being marked.
Yeah,
because
but
it's a measurement of change.
There. The change still occurred.
The change still occurred. So that's when the mark of time is when that change occurred. Because time is a measurement of change. So you're measuring when that mark occurred.
Yeah, but that measurement has to start before you think time exists. That's how you measure change.
It would not start before that, because if time is a measurement of change and there's no change, then there's no measurement of change. How the frick do you measure something that doesn't change?
You understand that a measurement of change means before something occurs and after something occurs, right?
If you're measuring change, are you measuring it before it changes, after it changes, or measuring it during it change?
All of those.
No, you're not. So measurement of change is measuring before change?
So measurement of change is a measurement before, during, and after something occurs.
So you can measure something, it doesn't change. Is that still time?
You can't measure something that doesn't change. What would that even mean?
So then how is time existing before then? Or at least marking?
It doesn't exist before then. Time has existed for all of time, which means that's my
time has existed for all of time?
Exactly. So it makes no point.
What the frick does that mean?
Time has existed. Well, you could say that the universe or space-time has existed.
Okay, so if time has existed...
Hold on, you asked me a question I was about to answer. So this is why it makes no sense to say time was created. It doesn't make sense there was a point in time or a change from no change to change. Because that entire point is a measurement.
Great. So if time always existed, how do we ever get to this point if time goes infinitely far back?
It doesn't go infinitely far back.
You just said time always existed.
Yeah, that's not the same thing as there being an infinite amount of time.
So does time go all the way far back? Infinitely far back?
For all of time. Time, space-time, the universe has existed for all 14 billion years of time.
So time started existing 14 billion years ago?
No, because there's no definition of start.
Okay, so time goes infinitely far back.
No, there's no definition of, okay, there's two things you're not understanding here. There's no definition of start or create or begin that works with time. There is none, because they all make temporal references. So that doesn't even make sense to start with. The second thing you're understanding is for something to exist for all of time, is it the same thing as something existing for an infinite amount of time?
Do you agree that it is a true dichotomy that something either has a starting point or no starting point?
That is a true dichotomy.
Okay, does time have a starting point or no starting point?
Hold on, don't make an implication of infinity there, because those things aren't.
Bro, wait, you just said it's a true dichotomy. Just answer the question.
No,
does time have a
does
time have a starting point or no? You just said it's a true dichotomy, bro. Now you can't answer.
Yeah, but there was no implication in starting point that says infinite amount.
Great, just answer the question. Does time have a starting point or no starting point?
It does not have a starting point. There's no definition of start.
Okay, so if something has no starting point, that means it is eternal, correct?
No. Do you understand what the concept?
What does it mean to be non-eternal? Okay, so eternal means no starting point, correct?
Existing for a finite amount of time.
Wait. Eternal means no starting point, correct?
Yeah. Wait. Eternal means no starting point?
Yes, correct?
No. Eternal means existing for an infinite amount of time.
So if you exist for an infinite amount of time, you have no starting point.
No, that's not the same thing.
How do you have a starting point but you're infinite?
I'll explain it because you don't understand the entire.
What is infinite?
Infinite is a concept to say that there has been a non-finite or a continuously existing for all.
Continuously, so no starting point.
Yes, but that isn't the same thing as.
Okay, so no starting point. So infinite means no starting point. Thank you.
An olive branch. Here, I'll give you an olive.
Wait. So I just want to make sure you were on the same page. I just want to make sure you're on the same page. Infinite means no starting point, correct?
I'm gonna give you the entire.
Wait, I want to make sure we're on the same page first. I want to make sure we're on the same page. So infinite means no starting point, correct?
Yes, but it's not the same thing backwards.
What the frick you mean it's not the same thing backwards?
Sure, I'll explain it because you don't understand the conceptualization of infinity. Do you understand infinity means non-finite or a numerical non-n? So n plus 1.
Yes, I'm talking about eternal.
Okay, great. So eternal means existing for n plus 1 amount of time.
Infinite, meaning it has no beginning and no end. That's what eternal means.
Okay, so I agree. Infinity has an entailment of no beginning, no end.
Okay.
But
I'm talking about eternal.
Not the same, hold on. It's not the same thing the other way around. Because there hasn't been... Hold on. I'm explaining it because you asked. Hold on. I'm explaining it because you don't want to acknowledge this point. So when you say that there's been an n plus 1 amount of time, that is not the case. There's no evidence for that.
Okay.
There has been an infinite amount of time.
Okay, great. So eternal means no beginning and no end, correct?
Yep.
Does time have a beginning or have an end?
It does have... Okay, here. Time does have a beginning 14 billion years ago.
So time is a starting point.
Hold on. The definition... I'm trying to give the olive branch here. The definition of beginning you're using as a change doesn't make sense. We can measure time 14 billion years ago, but to say before that, after 1 Planck second, doesn't make sense.
So time has a starting point.
There's a limit to what we can observe. To say independent of our observation, I'm telling you because you're not understanding.
I just want a yes or no to make it clear. Does time have a starting point?
To our observation, absolutely.
Great. That's crazy because literally 10 minutes ago you said it didn't have a starting point.
Yes, because you're not understanding the difference between observing and the act of time existing. So you understand that we can only see time for a certain length, right?
So I'm saying objectively. Objectively, does time exist eternally?
Yeah, it doesn't make sense to say objectively does time have a starting point because the implication there is there's a point in time where something doesn't begin and there's a point in time that
so then objectively time doesn't have a starting point.
We can yes, that's what I'm saying. There's no definition of start that makes sense.
So this is the third time you switch your definition now.
No, I haven't. I'm telling you, we can only observe time for how long?
Oh my. Okay, so let's say final definition, final answer. Does time have a beginning or starting point?
Objectively independent of our observation? No. That statement doesn't make sense.
Great. Objectively independent of our observation. Great. So if time is eternal, meaning it goes...
That's not the...
Bro, you just said it has no beginning. And that's what eternal means.
I'll tell you again because you don't understand the implications here. Do you know what n plus 1 is? That's
bro, am I tripping? Did you not just say time is eternal?
Because you're trying to make a bridge here that
maybe I'm tripping. Did you not just say time is eternal?
I didn't. I said that time has no starting point, but that's not the same thing as eternal.
Eternal means eternal doesn't mean no starting point, no end point?
Hold on. I'm telling you that it's not the same thing around. I agree that eternal has an implication of no start, no end, because it's infinite. But saying that there is a limit to what we can see, and when there's a start to time, whatever that means, it doesn't make sense.
Okay, what is the definition of eternal?
Eternal means going on for an infinite amount of time, non-ending.
Okay, is time non-ending?
No, that's the whole point. No.
So when does time end? When does time end?
I could not possibly answer you for that.
How do you know time ends?
If I wanted to give you the most philosophical answer, I could say time ends at any given moment that exists because we don't know if the future exists. If we want to do the philosophy thing, we could do that.
How do you know that time has an end?
I'm not saying that. No, the whole point is that time isn't non-ending.
How do you know that time has an end, though?
Because literally time stops to the moment right now.
Time stops right now.
Exists? Are you telling me the future exists right now at this moment? See, it doesn't make sense.
Oh, sorry, my bad. Time stopped for a sec. My bad. Time stopped for a sec.
It doesn't make sense to say the future exists at this moment.
Nah, time stopped, bro. My bad. Time just stopped for a sec.
I
didn't hear you, bro. Time stopped. Time stopped, bro. I did not hear you. You gotta say it again. Time stopped.
Time stops at the present, right?
My bad. I didn't hear you, bro. Time just keeps stopping, bro. I don't know what you're saying. Time literally keeps stopping, bro.
Point. It doesn't work for you. You understand? To measure the future of time doesn't make sense because the measure of time exists.
Bro, am I tripping, bro? Time keeps stopping, bro. My watch just stopped. What the frick?
You don't have a response,
bro. Time literally just stopped.
It doesn't work. I see. It doesn't work for your view.
Yeah, because you just said that time stops all the time. What the frick does that mean?
I could tell you again. The measure of time stops at the present. To say that the future exists right now makes no sense.
So time has no starting point but has an end?
At the present, exactly. How do you measure the future right now?
So how does it have no starting point then?
Because to say start makes an implication of time frame.
But wait, you just wait. How does time have no starting point if you just said it ends? Does that mean when it starts again it's a starting point?
How do you measure the future now?
Wait. Just answer that. You just said that time has no starting point. What happens after time ends? Does it start?
What do you think it means to be after time?
Answer the question. When you just said time has no starting point. So what happens when time ends? Does it start again?
No, time doesn't. Okay, it doesn't start again. When you say time, what?
So when time ends, it doesn't start again?
Yeah, to measure time, it stops in the present.
Dang, God. So time ended and it never stopped again. So it never started again. So we're not in time anymore. It never started. What happens after something ends and it continues again? What happens? What do we call that?
What do you mean it continues again? I don't understand this point. Continues again.
What does it mean for time to stop?
Okay, you're misunderstanding. The measure of time stops in the present. Do you understand that?
And does it start again?
What do you mean start again?
So we don't even know what start means now?
Start has an implication of time. So to say time ends and starts again makes no sense.
You just said it ends. You just said it did.
Yeah. Measures of time stop in the present.
Okay, they stop in the present. Do they start again in the present?
No, they don't start again in the present.
So if something stops and it doesn't start again, that means it's static, right?
Yeah, the present exists at every moment. I don't know what to tell you there.
Okay, so if that's the case, the present exists at every moment, what?
Every moment that you exist in is the present. We don't move. We don't live in the past. We don't live in the future. We live in the present.
Yeah. Do you hold to A theory or B theory at time?
Do I hold to the? I would probably hold to the B theory.
So then you believe that the present is the past? What the frick are you talking about?
The B theory of time just means that all points of time exist at once.
So everything is the present. So you live at the same time as George Washington.
No, that's not the same thing. You don't understand the era or experience.
All times are the present is B theory, correct?
It's not the same thing as experiencing all times at once.
Okay, but are all times the present, right?
Okay, do you understand the difference of...
Yes, again, are all times the present, bro?
Yeah, the experience or the existence.
Is 1925 the present?
No, by definition.
So then you're not a B theorist.
That's not what B theory of time is.
You just said B theory is that all times are the present.
No, all times exist at once.
All times exist as once. Does 1925 exist?
China right now? Do you experience China right now?
Yeah, I'm talking about 1920. Yeah, I'm talking about 1925, not China. Does 1925 exist right now at the same time as 2025?
No. Does China exist right now?
No. So then you're not a B theorist.
That's not what B theory is. Do you understand the
Oh
difference
my gosh,
between
you
experience?
just said B theory is
Hold
that
on,
all
hold on.
times
I know
exist
you don't understand.
simultaneously.
That doesn't mean you experience them all at once.
Bro,
Do you understand?
I didn't say, forget experience. I'm not saying, nobody's saying experience. Does 1925 exist at the same time right now that 2025 does?
Oh, exists. Yeah. All time exists all at once, according to B theory. Experiencing it is a different thing. China exists right now. You're not in China and you're not experiencing
so
to live in China.
Right now, bro, the dinosaurs are roaming Earth. Even though we can't experience it, but the dinosaurs are roaming Earth.
Works. That's not what that means at all.
So I'm saying, I agree, we don't experience it, but right now, in the present, the dinosaurs are roaming Earth.
That's still not how that works.
You just said. Let me make sure I'm making it clear. Let me make sure I'm correct. I'm correctly representing you. Let me just make sure. Let me make sure I'm correctly representing you. All time exists in the present, correct? Even if we can't experience, we not have anything to do with experience.
All at once.
All time exists all at once. So just right now, as we are roaming the Earth in this time, the dinosaurs are also roaming the Earth. So forget, I'm not talking for the 5th time. I'm not talking about experience. So at the same time, right now, we are roaming the Earth. The dinosaurs are also roaming the Earth right now at the same time.
You understand you're making a claim of experience, right?
I'm literally not. Forget, for the 5th time, we are not experiencing it. Without experiencing it, the dinosaurs are roaming the Earth at the same time as us.
How are you making that claim if you're not experiencing
I'm asking you, are they?
Nope.
So then all time is not the same.
So I can tell you again, how do you make a claim the dinosaurs are roaming
because
the Earth?
If all time is the same and dinosaurs ever roam the Earth, then they're presently roaming the Earth.
Doesn't mean you can experience it.
I didn't say, bro, how many times do I have to say, forget experience for the 30th time? Forget experience. If all time exists simultaneously, then that means simultaneously when we are on the Earth, the dinosaurs are roaming the Earth, correct?
That's a claim of experience. Do you understand that?
Oh, how many times? I'm done, bro. Bro, how many times do I have to say it? Like, genuinely. Like, bro, I'm telling you, this is what atheism leads to. It leads to the dinosaurs are roaming the Earth at the same time as us. This is embarrassing, y'all. This is embarrassing. Guys, this is atheism, right? Time has no beginning, has no starting point, but it doesn't go back eternally far. Right? All time is simultaneous, yet somehow the dinosaurs are not roaming Earth at the same time as us. It's interesting how that works. Man, W dinosaurs, man. Yo, even though we didn't experience it, we low-key got hit by the asteroid too. Yo, we low-key got hit by the asteroid too, I ain't gonna lie. Hello?
Yo, I'm sorry, I'm gonna leave, but if something has an end, it has a beginning. This is common sense. I'm sorry, I'm gonna get off. I just had to say that.
All right, appreciate you hopping up. Hello?
Hey, how's it going? I'll make this super quick because I'm actually a Christian. I just wanted to get up here and talk to you. I don't know if you remember me. I talked to you like a couple of weeks ago. We was talking about orthodoxy, and you gave me some material to study, and there was another guy. I don't know if you do or not. But yeah, I just wanted to tell you I went to an Orthodox church today, and I just wanted your opinion on, like, was you a non-denominational when you started, like when you converted to Christianity, or Orthodoxy?
Yeah, I was non-denominational.
So how did you go about like the transition?
That's a lot, bro. You probably gonna have to DM me. We're gonna talk. That's a lot. That's gonna be like a long conversation.
Oh yeah, I understand, and I don't want to take up all your time.
Yeah, just DM me. I can try to help you.
For sure. I just got, because it's so beautiful to me, and I want to take part of the youth. But I know you got to be part of the Orthodox Church to do that because it's good.
Yeah, just DM me. I got you.
Yeah, for real. All right, thank you. God bless.
God bless. Okay. Just click the wrong thing. All right, guys. This guy said I am scared of him. Let's see how scared I am. Hello?
Hello? You
Yep.
hear me?
Yep, go ahead.
I just thought so you would put me on, to be honest. Because
What?
you were ignoring me the whole time. I said I just said that.
No. Keep that
put me
same
on.
energy. I'm scared of you. Keep that same. Say it with your chest, bro. Go ahead. Give me an argument as to why I'm scared of you.
Okay. First of all, just one thing: the atheists are tripping. That was the first thing. But you want to talk about the Trinity, right?
Yep, go ahead. How's the Trinity illogical?
So you said the Father and Jesus aren't the same, right?
They're not the same person, correct?
Okay. They have the same essence.
Correct.
Do they share the same properties?
They share the same properties of their essence, yeah.
Okay. So can a God be
By
a
the way,
God?
you sound like you're underwater, bro. I don't know what's up with your
Wait,
mic, but
wait,
you
wait.
sound like you're underwater right now.
Wait, let me switch to my other mic. Give me a second. It'll be easier, probably. You hear me?
You still sound like you're underwater.
Is it better now?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So basically, can a God be a God missing like one of the properties, essential properties?
Not of the essential property of the essence, no.
Do you think all-knowing is an essential property?
Yes.
So can Jesus be not all-knowing and be God?
Not in his divine nature, no.
So I think you're knowing where I'm going to.
This is
So
you came up here for Mark 13:32. That's what you said I was scared of?
no. This is like the beginning, and then we're going to the next. This is like there's a follow-up question. So depending on your answer, is gonna go to another follow-up question. So could you explain to me what your view is on this verse?
Yeah, there's
How
two
do you see it?
views. Number one is talking about his human nature, or number two, that is talking about how he's not revealing the hour, because the oide can mean reveal or to tell. So either
So
or.
what do you believe?
Either or is fine. Both of them literally are technically
So you
true.
think the human nature was talking?
No, I don't think natures talk. Persons talk through theandric acts.
So you think he was talking, but like using his human nature, right?
He works through theandric acts, so it's not just using a nature.
So can he choose like consciously which one he uses to talk, or like
It's
if he
not
wants to be
using one to
all-knowing or
talk.
not?
It's through theandric acts again.
Like what I said, can he choose if he's all-knowing or not?
What? No, he's always all-knowing. What are you talking about?
So, like I said, you said he was using his human form or his human nature. He is always all-knowing, right?
Yes, in his
So if
divine
he's
nature.
always all-knowing, how can he say he's not all-knowing?
Is it because insofar as his human nature, so knowledge is a property of nature. So insofar as his human nature is not all-knowing. His divine nature is all-knowing.
So when he was talking, was it his divine nature or his human nature talking?
Natures don't talk. Persons with natures talk.
Okay, but he has like a human nature and he has a divine nature.
Great. So natures do not talk, though.
Okay, so who's talking? Jesus is talking, right?
Jesus, yes.
Yeah, so he has both natures, right?
Correct.
So when he was talking, which one was he
So
using?
he can be talking insofar as his human nature, he doesn't have the knowledge. Insofar as his divine nature, he would have the knowledge.
So when he is using it, like when he's all-knowing, can he still be all-knowing while using his human nature?
If he works through theandric acts through the divine nature, yeah.
So you think he can be all-knowing and at the same time not being all-knowing?
Only because if it's in different respects. If it's in different respects, yes.
How can it be in different respects?
Because knowledge is a property of nature, and he has two natures, so it's in two different respects.
So he has two knowledges. One
two
human
sets
knowledge?
of knowledge, yes.
Yeah. Okay, so when he's talking, he can use his not all-knowing logic.
Yeah, he can theandrically work through the human or divine nature, yes.
So then when he's using that, is he using the other one simultaneously or not?
He can be. It depends on the act. So do you have an argument? Because you swore you was going to come up here and cook me, but it sounds like a Q&A. Well, I'm just wondering, because you was talking in the comments real crazy, but now it just sounds like a Q&A. I'm not going to lie.
No. Listen. Because if you're saying he's using his human nature to talk, right? because his human nature has its own knowledge, right? And his divine nature has its own knowledge, right? One is all-knowing, the human nature isn't all-knowing. So can he use simultaneously both natures, or is he using one or the other one?
So it's still a Q&A. So yes, he can use both natures.
Okay, he can use both natures, right?
Yes, or either or, yes.
Okay, so when he uses both natures, he is all-knowing at the same time and not all-knowing at the same time.
In two different senses, yeah.
So when he is talking, he's using his human nature while being all-knowing.
He can be. Yeah.
No, that's not my question. So yes or no?
It depends on which action.
What do you mean it depends on what the action
It depends.
Yes
he works
no
through
question.
theandric acts, so it depends on which action he takes, whether or not, for example, when he does things like ascend to heaven, that's obviously in virtue of his all-powerful divine nature.
Mm-hmm. So that's in divine nature, but not in like a human nature, right?
Correct. It's not in virtue of his human nature that he ascends to heaven. It's in virtue of his power of his divine nature, like in the transfiguration.
So to get my point straight, just to be on the same line, he can be all-knowing, but not all-knowing at the same time, because he can have two different knowledges.
Yes, in two different senses. Yes.
Which one
do you have an argument?
He's gonna use to answer the question, because he has his own choice, right?
Yes, in two
but he
different
can be
senses.
all-knowing and not all-knowing at the same time.
Yes, in two different senses. Do you have an argument now, bro?
How is it logical? Like this contradicting? How can you be all-knowing?
Do you know what the law of non-contradiction is?
You tell me.
So you don't know. So you don't know.
You tell me.
So you're saying it's a contradiction, but you don't know what the law of non-contradiction is. But you swore in the comments you were gonna come up and cook me, and I was scared.
Listen.
So you gotta do a Q&A with me. I gotta teach you, and I was scared of you.
Listen. I'm asking you, what's your definition?
There's not my definition. There's only one definition of law of non-contradiction.
Okay, tell me the definition.
The definition, since I have to teach you, is A and not A in the same sense. Something cannot be A and not A in the same sense, the same way. So it is not in the same sense and same way that he's both knowledgeable and not knowledgeable. It's in two different ways because it's in two different natures. Therefore, it's not a contradiction.
So when he's living on Earth, right, he has two natures at the same time.
Yep, they're two distinct natures.
Okay, at the same time.
Yes.
When he's talking, does he have both at the same time?
Yes.
So when he's talking, he uses his human nature to answer a question, but at the same time he has its divine nature. You're saying
because they're since they're two different natures, it's never gonna be in the same. His knowledge is never gonna be in the same sense.
Sure, but a human has literally. You have to understand something. When you're answering a person, is or you have the knowledge or you don't have the knowledge, right?
If you have one nature, yeah. Now, what if you have two natures?
I'm saying, do you have a knowledge? Yes, I have the knowledge. No, I don't have the knowledge.
Yes, if you have one nature. Now, what if you have two natures?
So which one are you choosing? You can just choose whatever you want.
You can talk about both or either or.
Okay. So why did he choose to not be all-knowing when he can be all-knowing?
What do you mean choose to not be all-knowing? Like,
because
what are you talking about?
Two natures. He has two natures, right?
It's not choosing to not be all-knowing. We're saying that the human nature in virtue of itself is not all-knowing. The person of Christ is always all-knowing, though, in virtue of his divine nature.
Wait. So when he answered, he was using his not all-knowing nature, right?
Bro, what do you mean? Do you even know what theandric acts are?
Listen. I'm asking you a question.
And I answered. I said he's using theandric acts.
Explain to me, what's theandric acts?
So you came up here and said he's gonna cook me, but you literally don't know. You don't know anything about my position, though.
Answer me.
Yeah, I mean, when you can actually come on an argument, bro. And I would have been nice to him if he wasn't in the comments saying he's scared of me. He won't bring me up. I'm gonna cook him, and then I have to teach him everything about my position. You know, it's crazy, man. It's crazy how people in the comments really be acting crazy, and until See, this person connects. This person's not connecting. Hello.
Yeah, hello.
What's going on?
Good. How about you?
I'm good. What you got?
Are you Christian?
Yes.
Orthodox, Catholic, Protestant?
I'm Orthodox.
Okay. And you think that Islam is red flag? religious.
Yes.
Does it make you a good Christian thinking that another religious is a bad religious?
You say that would make you a bad Christian?
Yeah.
Says who?
The logic.
What
of
logic?
The Christian.
Oh,
of the Christian.
So to be a Christian, you have to think other religions are good?
Yeah, that's
Did Jesus think the religion of the Pharisees? Wait, did Jesus think the religion of the Pharisees was good?
No, but
But you just said we have to. But you just said to be Christian, we have to believe the other religions are good.
You don't have to hate them.
What?
You don't have to hate them.
Did Jesus hate the religion of the Pharisees?
I don't know. I'm an atheist.
So you don't know what the frick you talk. All right, man. Listen. All right. Well, we've been live for a little over 2 hours. I think that's I think it's probably my cue to hop off. Bro, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know, bro. This is why I only do these lives so often, because you get a lot of people that just don't know what they talking about. I guess it's that way on every live though, but you know. Lord have mercy. My brain is fried. But I hope y'all enjoyed. My brain is fried though. I appreciate y'all all hopping on though, man. If y'all are on YouTube, make sure y'all are subscribed and your live notifications are turned on. If you guys are on TikTok, go subscribe to my YouTube and turn post notifications on. My link is in my bio. Y'all better go subscribe. And if you guys want to join the Patreon, link is in both of my bios as well. You get content, Discord access, etc. Link is in my bio. God bless you all. In the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, I thank you all for coming. See y'all next time, man.